Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadhilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
We welcome all the Shri Mahants, Mahants, Kotaris, Tanedars, Samajis, Satsangis and Balasanths, visitors and viewers for this Vaakyaartha Sadhas conducted by Balasanths of Nithyananda Gurukul. The topic for today's Vaakyaartha Sadhas is inner image swallows life image, drinks outer image and dances on other's image completely. We will now be chanting the 5th verse of the Ishavasya Upanishad.
Tade jati tanne jati tadhure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bhagyataha.
I have a question. What does Swamiji mean by telling inner image, outer image and life image?
What I feel as inner image is what you think of yourself. If you think you are Mahadeva, then that is your inner image. Okay? And what I feel as outer image is how you project yourself to others. Like you project yourself as Mahadeva to others, that is your outer image.
Just adding to what she told, and life image is something what you feel about life. Like, for example, maybe you feel that others are Mahadeva for you, and others' image is what others think about you. Like they feel that you are Mahadeva. So that is others' image and life image.
Okay, I have a question. How does your inner image swallow life's image?
What I feel is this. See, when we discover our consciousness, then our inner image, it doesn't be like, it's not aham, it's not alone. You begin to feel that you're one with everything around you.
Adding to what she told, see like how today in Satsang Swamiji told that the skin of the rock and skin of him, in both he was carried equally. So when you carry yourself equally in everything, your inner image, outer image, others image, life image, everything will become same, and then it will be like your inner image swallowing the life image. It will drink up the outer image and will dance on others image. So everything will be aligned and everything will be same.
I have a question. See, when we discover our consciousness, will we still have inner image, outer image, and others image and life image?
What I feel is when you discover your consciousness, I feel that these 4 images won't even be there, because for you everything is consciousness. Everything around you, whatever is there next to you, around you, on top of you, below you, everything is consciousness. So I don't feel that the 4 images will exist when you discover your consciousness.
It is like when you discover consciousness, you yourself won't exist. You yourself are already inside the consciousness. You are into the consciousness. So nothing exists. Everything is just a consciousness.
Adding to their point, Swami told that when we discover our consciousness, there'll be no gap between the 4 images. They'll all be the same.
Then what does it mean by telling inner image, outer image, others image and life image will be the same? It will be like equal. What state will we be in at that time?
What I feel is when you're in the consciousness, when your inner image is consciousness, immediately everyone around you will be consciousness because others are a part of you. So first your outer image will be aligned to your inner image. Then even what you project outside will be consciousness, because inside when you feel a consciousness, there's nothing more which you can project outside. So outside also will be consciousness. So the first 3 images will be consciousness. And automatically what life will think of you and what you will think of life will be consciousness. So immediately when you align yourself back to the consciousness, everything around you will become consciousness.
I have a question. Now when you feel that when your inner image begins that you are consciousness, then
the outer image and life image both become that your consciousness in that, but still you have the four images, right? How can the four images just disappear?
What I feel is you will just realize you're one with everything. Then you will not be like others, like outer image, others image, life image. It will not be existing in you. It will just be one, which is consciousness. You will feel you're everything, and you will feel everything is part of you. That is what I feel.
That it's like how Swamiji told today in satsang. He told the moment you feel, you experience that you are the consciousness and everything is consciousness, there will be no gap between all these four. Everything will be same. Like the Swami told clearly that there will be no imagination itself. So there will be no images also. Everything will be just a consciousness.
I have a question from what Swamiji told today. If that is the case, then why did Swamiji tell that after it has already swallowed, it has already drank, then why did Swamiji make the statement, dance on others' image? What does that mean? If it has already become part of everything, then why should it separately dance on something else? What does that statement mean?
What I think is when your inner image, outer image, and life image are all consciousness, what others think of you will naturally become consciousness. So when you transform yourself to your inner image, outer image, and life image being consciousness, you can change the other person's other's image and make them also think you're consciousness.
But I still don't understand how when all the four images are aligned to consciousness, everything is the same, but how does it not exist?
Because your inner image, outer image, and life image will still exist that you are consciousness. If you don't even have a outer image, then how can people even perceive you? Like outer image is what you project to others. So if you don't project anything, then how will they even be able to perceive you?
Okay, I have a question. These four images, they're also from our perception, right?
What I understand is, see, when you have the four, like if you have the four images out of incompletion, they are from the lower level perception, which will not take you to the, which will not evolve you to the next level of perception. But when you have something like I am consciousness, Shivoham, all these as your inner image, they are your perceptions which will evolve you and take you to the next higher level.
I have a question. So when we realize we're consciousness, is it that our inner image, outer image, life image, and others' image all become consciousness and they all go away, like disappear, or they're still there but they all just reflect consciousness?
What I understand is, see, once you realize that you are consciousness and everyone is part of you, you'll not even have something like I am separate or they are separate to project your inner image, outer image, or others' image and life image. See, you'll realize that everyone is just part of you. So at that time, you'll not have any images, is what I understand.
I have a question. Can you practically, with an example, tell what do you mean by inner image as consciousness?
Okay, see, what I understand is, for example, you decide that your inner image is going to be like your consciousness and everyone is part of you. So, for example, you want something, but one of your friend comes and asks you for that and that person takes it. So, at that point, you will think, okay, my inner image is consciousness. So, she's also a part of me. So, there's no point in me becoming incomplete or powerless about it. I'll share with her and she'll also share with me. Let both of us be complete. That is how you'll align your action back to your inner image.
But what do you mean by inner image becoming consciousness? How can your inner image become consciousness?
What I think is your inner image is basically what you think yourself as, right? So when you think yourself as consciousness, your inner image will become consciousness.
Then when the moment we decide that our inner image is consciousness, will all four images align to the consciousness?
What I think is yes, because naturally when you think yourself as consciousness, then you have to project consciousness, and perception about life will also become consciousness, and because of that, your other's image will also become consciousness.
Just adding to Parameshwari's point, what I understand is, see, life is just like a mirror. So if you carry, like, if you think, oh, I'm like this, I'm not good, and I'm not capable of doing something, then life will reflect the same. But when you decide your inner image as consciousness, life will reflect the same back to you. So automatically, when you start aligning yourself to your inner image, the outer image and life image all will start aligning to that.
Also, what I feel is that not just aligning your thoughts, but even your everyday action, aligning it to consciousness is what I feel will make you really live that your inner image is consciousness, not just aligning your thoughts.
So practically, how do you live that my inner space is consciousness?
What I feel is, for me, the inner image is Shivoham, just living Shiva, Shiva, each and every moment. Okay, so when the Shiva becomes, when it takes me to the purpose, it becomes the consciousness. When I become Shiva, it becomes the consciousness. This is what I feel.
But I have a question from what you told, because what we understand is oneness is just a quality of consciousness, right? So how can your inner image be Shivoham if it's supposed to be consciousness?
What I understand is, see, if you have your inner image as Shivoham, and you start constantly aligning to that, after that, at one point you'll realize that just Shivoham is not, like, Ishvara is not the ultimate, Isha is the ultimate. So once you attain that Ishvaratva, like you attain, like you realize that you are Shiva, you realize that Ishvara is not the ultimate, Isha is the ultimate. So you'll start aligning yourself back to consciousness.
But how can Ishvara not be ultimate? Because Isha, when you attribute a quality to it, it becomes Ishvara. So even then it is ultimate. So how can Ishvara not be ultimate?
What I feel is Ishvara cannot be the pure Isha. It can only be an attribute. So it's not the pure Isha. It's only an attribute.
But the attribute of Shiva itself is a part of Shiva, then how can it not be ultimate?
What I understand is, see, the purpose of Isha assuming a form as Ishvara is itself to take us to Isha. So when we when we realize the Ishvaratva in us, it will itself automatically lead us to Isha.
Okay, I have a doubt. I'll give you an example. I'm not still very clear about the practical example of feeling your inner image as consciousness. I'll give you an example. In the morning, you have to wake up and go take bath. In this situation, what should be your inner image, outer image, life image, and others image? If everything has to be based on consciousness, then how should it be?
For me, in the morning, I'll be sleeping. If somebody wakes me up, I'll tell, I don't want to sleep. So at that place, my inner image is Shivoham. So if I think, oh, I am sure Shiva will be like this, Shiva will be sleeping, zero, I have to wake up. So like, you wake like Shiva, go and take bath and brush your teeth like Shiva. If you said that, others will think, oh, like, even they'll see, if by seeing us, they'll think he's really living it, and your life image also will be like that.
Adding a point to Vedvidya Maharaj, now like Swami just told, Kamikagama is the best way which Shiva himself has told for our lifestyle. So when you follow Kamikagama, you will obviously feel that I am doing whatever Shiva told me to do. So with that space of inner image, outer image, life image, and others image, with that space, if we do everything like taking bath, if you take bath according to Kamikagama, so then you'll know that I am doing whatever Mahadeva wants me to do. So That can be your inner image, outer image, life image, and others image.
I have a question. How will following Kamika Agama transform the other's image though? Because it can transform your inner image when you think you're Mahadeva, your outer image, your life image, but how will it transform your other's image?
See, what I understand is Kamika Gama is designed by Mahadeva himself. So when you start, like when you know you're following Kamika Gama, like how Mahadeva told you to do, and you start doing, your inner image will be like Mahadeva. Like, you will be holding the space of Shivoham. So life is just a reflection. So when you start holding the space of Shivoham, you'll see automatically that even the others, like you'll start inspiring others. They'll feel, see how inspiring she is, the space of completion what she holds, and people will start getting inspired, and that will itself change the others image.
And adding to what she told, today in Satsang Swamiji told, Upanishads are like what rishis declare is given as a lifestyle in Kamikagama. So basically Upanishads are been what is declared as Upanishads are the lifestyle for us in Kamikagama. So you following Kamikagama will lead you to Shivoham and consciousness.
Just adding to Adinatha Maharaj, see, for example, for me, if I see Swamiji, the way he walks, all the action he do, when I saw, I'll get inspired by seeing him, and I also will start following it the same way. His inner image will become our outer image. His outer image also aligned to it. So that.
I have a question. I understood how consciousness can be inner image, outer image, and others image, but I did not understand how consciousness can be life image.
See, what I feel is when you align consciousness to inner image, outer image, and others image, what you feel about life will be automatically like, I am Mahadeva and I am the consciousness, and I am showing that also to consciousness, and others feel that I am consciousness, so I should align everything to that. So you will automatically start thinking your life image is consciousness, and you will start pushing your whole, the whatever you do, you will start aligning to that. So showing to life that I am consciousness and I am living consciousness.
Just adding to what Ma Maheshwara told, see what I understand is like when you know, like if your inner image is Shivoham and you start like I should wake up like Mahadeva, I should walk like Mahadeva, and I should talk like Mahadeva. As Swami told in Satsang, when you align all your actions, like when you align all your actions to this, your very DNA will start vibrating Shivoham. So when you're everything in you, every action you do, everything will start just radiating Shivoham. So at that, like when your whole being radiates Shivoham, everyone automatically will get inspired by you.
Now, if my inner image is I am Mahadeva, that is Shivoham, then will everybody feel that I am Shiva?
What I feel is, whatever you do, if you align your actions to that you're Mahadeva, whatever you do, even like studies, okay, if you think you're Mahadeva and study to just enrich the world, that then everybody will start perceiving you as Mahadeva. So when you live it in action, automatically everything will align.
Adding to her point, if you keep on aligning to that inner image again and again, remembering that, then what you think of yourself, life is just a mirror, right? So it'll just tell you the same thing.
I have a question regarding this. I feel that inner image is just aligning your thinking about yourself, because inner image is what you think about yourself. When it comes to action, it is just your outer image. It is not the inner image which plays a role in the action itself. But I feel that inner image is only based on thinking, and outer image is based on what you act. This is what I feel.
But what I feel is the inner image which you carry about yourself, immediately you'll put that out. When it's positive, you'll only put that out, and that will become your outer image. Like for example, inside you feel that you are Shiva, so outside you'll project that you are Shiva.
Okay, I have a question. How is that, like in your image, if you're thinking that your inner image is Shivoham or consciousness, how will you directly put it into outer image? Won't you still be thinking that I am Mahadeva, I am Mahadeva, I am Mahadeva? So how will you put it into outer image?
What I feel is what you feel is what you project. Now, for example, if you're in depression, you'll only project and radiate that horrible depression. But if you're in the space of Shivoham, that is space of Mahadeva, then whatever you do will be in the space of Mahadeva. You'll just like talk like Mahadeva, wake up like Mahadeva, and do everything like Mahadeva.
In that case, if whatever is your inner image becomes your outer image, but for some people, like if their inner image is very powerlessness and all that, but they show themselves as if they are great leaders and all that, where their outer image is not aligned with their inner image. That's why Swamiji told complete and align all your inner images with your outer images, then everything will be in the space of completion for you. But in what you told, if something is your inner image, that is only your outer image also.
What I think is when the inner image is out of powerlessness, then you project yourself that you are powerful. But when your inner image itself is powerful, like you think that you're Shiva, then your outer image will also be powerful.
See, I just adding to what she told. See, what I feel is when you don't have a right inner image, like let's say that your inner image about you is being powerless. You won't want to show that to anyone. You feel that people think wrong about me. People will not like me. So you won't show that as your outer image. You'll try changing it by showing yourself as powerful and great and all that. But naturally your inner image itself is powerlessness, because that's what you put as a wrong context inside.
Adding to her point, what I feel is, see, suppose we're powerless inside and we just project that we're powerful, it won't be real powerfulness. It'll just be like projection. So other people won't feel complete with it, and life will constantly try to tell us that, to align it back to the inner image. So ultimately we'll get it back aligned.
And also when your inner image is powerlessness and you try to project yourself as a very powerful person, you will always function out of hard power, which won't convince anybody and will bring others also to powerlessness.
Just adding to what Mangala Maharaj told, like how Swami told in satsang, for example, Ravana, he had a very low inner image, but he always tried to project himself as though he is very powerful, and he always tried to project himself as he is very powerful.
Can all our four images be aligned only if we experience consciousness?
What I understand is, when you start, when all your four images are same, it will take you to consciousness, because once you experience consciousness, there'll be no images itself existing. You'll understand that you're part of everyone. But when all your four images are same, it'll take you to the space of consciousness. It'll lead you to experience consciousness.
But when you told them when all your four images get aligned, you'll experience the space of consciousness. But if, for example, if someone's inner image is powerlessness and outer image is also powerlessness, and because of that, all their four images are powerlessness, will they experience consciousness?
What I feel is yes, even though it's powerlessness, ultimately they'll all experience consciousness because at some point of time life will remind them and get them back to the truth.
What I feel is only if the master comes directly and interferes in that person's life and helps him and enriches him for him to reinvent himself, only then the person can experience consciousness.
But how does that depend on whether our four images are aligned or not? Because anyway, whatever happens, we're going to experience consciousness. Then how can you say that even if it's aligned, then only we'll experience consciousness?
See, when your four images are not aligned, whatever you do, it won't be from a right context. It won't be like how you're supposed to live life. It'll just be like you're doing one thing one side and you're doing another thing another side. It won't be aligned. It'll just it'll just be tossing around and all that. You won't be exactly living to how you're supposed to live. Instead, you'll be living one thing inside, one thing outside, and others will think one more thing about you, and then you'll feel something about life. It won't exactly be how it should be. It'll be according to how you want it, which won't be the exact thing.
Adding to what she told, see, when you feel like your inner image is Shivoham, you are Shiva. In outer image, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to follow Kamik Agama, which will lead you to you becoming Shiva. Means when you follow what Shiva told you, you'll become Shiva. It's like you sitting like Shiva, you eating like Mahadeva, you living like Mahadeva. When you live like Mahadeva continuously, your whole DNA will start reverberating with that I am Shiva. When this happens, your all four images, means already the three images are already aligned. When this happens, like when your whole DNA starts reverberating that I am Mahadeva, everyone will feel around you that you are Mahadeva. Everyone will naturally feel that you are Mahadeva. That's when all your four images are aligned.
Also, I want to add a point to the previous statement. Like, even if your inner image is powerlessness, and naturally, by having that as powerlessness, others will all feel that anyhow he is only shouting and using heart power. So at one point, life will still present it to you, and then make sure that you're again reinventing yourself to make sure that your inner image is moving to a next level. But if, like Swamiji tells, either life can present you or Swamiji's words can change you. When life presents, it's like 10,000 times the whole load is landing on you. But when Swamiji presents you, it's like he just lifts you and puts you in the next space. That's how he does it in Gurukul. Whenever we get into incompletion or anything, Swamiji beautifully carries us and puts us in the space of completion. But if the same thing, we just left it and then it went on, at one point of time where it's like we are a small banyan tree which is growing. When the small banyan tree is being attacked by a weed, immediately Swamiji just picks out the weeds and throws it. But if the weed is let to grow, then it kills the banyan tree itself. But here in Gurukul, Swamiji just pulls out those weeds so nicely and makes us complete. So I feel even if your inner marriage is powerlessness, when you are in Gurukul or when you are in the breathing space of Swamiji will directly take you to the next space.
So even when your four images are not aligned, like they are completely different, will you reach a space of consciousness? Because at last everything has to reach to a space of consciousness. So even when it's not aligned, will it reach to a space of consciousness?
What I feel is when it's not aligned, it will automatically align itself, then only the consciousness will happen.
Just adding to what he told, see, when your four images are not aligned, you won't be following everything how it's supposed to be. So at that time, it takes you a longer time for you to align everything and then experience consciousness. So instead of that, directly aligning your four images to Shivoham or living Advaita will help you reach the space of consciousness in a better way.
I have a question. See, Swamiji said by doing Vaakyaartha Sadhas and continuously internalizing truths, we'll reach the consciousness. So how will doing Vaakyaartha Sadhas help align our images?
In one satsang, Swami told, you doing Vaakyaartha Sadhas is like you doing Manasa Puja. Means you're just in connection with the master. So that time automatically it'll align you to the consciousness.
What I understand is, see, like when you start doing Vaakyaartha Sadhas, you'll automatically start contemplating, and by you starting to contemplate, you'll become more complete, and you'll, like, whatever is your inner image and outer image, by the clarity what you get itself, you'll start aligning.
Just adding a point, before doing Vaakyaartha Sadhas, what you might feel is your inner image is something against life. So when you think as something against life, after doing a Vaakyaartha Sadhas and contemplating about all the truths, that time you'll automatically, the shift will happen, and instead of deciding against life, you'll decide for life.
What I feel is, whenever you do the Vaakyaartha Sadhas, the whatever clarity and whatever the fruits of the Vaakyaartha Sadhas, that becomes part of your perception and cognition. So whatever you perceive and cognize as yourself, that is how you'll perceive others and everything around you. So how I think it is, whenever you do Vaakyaartha Sadhas, that directly changes your perception and cognition, which changes the life image and others' image around you.
What I feel is that when we continuously do the Vaakyaartha Sadhas, our thinking style itself gets matured. So I feel like how Swamiji tells, your thoughts are dependent on what you think. So when our thinking style itself gets matured, then naturally our thoughts will get matured, which will be a higher level thoughts, and then whatever becomes our thoughts will directly become our actions. So this is how I feel.
So in that case, are thoughts and thinking different?
What I feel is, thoughts come when you can be unaware or be aware, but thinking can only come when you are aware.
Adding a point to Acharya Maharaj, thoughts are just like flowing, but thinking is when you take one thought and start like analyzing on it.
Then if that is the case, then is contemplating and thinking the same? Because thinking also will be like you take a point from Swamiji's satsang and you'll be analyzing about that. So won't thinking and contemplation be same?
What I feel is that thinking can happen in any way. You can think about what you're going to eat, what you're going to do after Vaakyaartha Sadhas. You can think about anything. But when you think about a higher truth and then think how you can experience it in your life, how you can put it practically in your life, I feel that is contemplation. That is manana.
What I feel is, thinking happens in the logical part of your brain, and when you contemplate, it happens in the creative part of your brain.
So in that case, all the Vaakyaartha Sadhas and discussion we all are having now is just a contemplation. How is it creative? Because whatever we're doing, we're logically analyzing it, right? How is it being creative?
What I understand is, see, when someone asks a question in Vaakyaartha Sadhas, you'll know, like you'll remember Swami telling about it, a point about it in a satsang, and you'll start like immediately you'll like contemplation will happen, and then you'll, out of what Swamiji told, you'll whatever you understood and whatever out of contemplation what you understood is what you'll tell. I don't think like you'll sit and logically analyze and all that.
Adding a point to Nanita, when we do Vaakyaartha Sadhas like now, we don't logically analyze anything. It's just the answer just downloads through us. We are just like a medium for the cosmos to flow through us.
So by contemplating, is it that we realign our inner image, outer image, life image and others' image?
What I feel is yes, because by we questioning ourselves, we raise ourselves to the purpose. So like Swami told, questioning yourself is a weapon for you to raise you to the purpose of your life.
What I think is when we do contemplation about all these truths will then come and influence us in our inner image, life image, others' image, and outer image.
Having an inner image and outer image, is it based on your perception and cognition?
What I feel is yes, whatever you perceive and cognize only you can put as your inner image. Like now I perceive and cognize that the truth of Advaita. So I make that as my inner image. So whatever you perceive and cognize is only what your inner image becomes.
Also, adding to Tata Maharaja's point, what your inner images is basically what you think about yourself, right? So what you think about yourself naturally becomes what you perceive and cognize about yourself.
I have a question. See, you told like your inner image and outer image. Okay, your inner image is that Advaita, your Shiva. How will that evolve from Advaita to consciousness?
Advaita is oneness. So oneness is actually a quality of consciousness. So naturally when your inner image is Advaita, it will lead you to consciousness.
I have a doubt from my experience. At times when I like doing some things, I feel that my inner image is Shiva and I do it like that. If I don't like to do something, then my inner image completely changes. So does your inner image change based on the situations which happens in your life?
What I feel is yes, because like before we come into Gurukul, we used to think that we are completely useless. We're just like we are full of anger or we are full of depression. So, but after coming to Gurukul, we realize that we are not all those qualities. We transform our inner image from all those horrible qualities to like Advaita and being like Shiva.
What I feel is this. See, the situation, like everything is just our perception. So as our perception gets more and more evolved, even our inner image will get more and more evolved. And we have to remember to align to that in every situation. That's what I feel.
Just adding to what Sharanya told, what I understand is like, see, what you like, first your inner image is being Shiva, and what you want doesn't happen. At that time, you can either give up on that and just like, okay, I'm useless, this will not happen, or you can, instead of that, you can decide for life, like, okay, I am Mahadeva. Mahadeva will not give up. Instead, he'll create the space and make that happen. And you can either align yourself to your inner image, or you can decide against life, like changing the inner image.
Now, practically, how do you establish your cognition as Shiva, your inner image as Shivoham? Like for example, when you're going for studying, like when you go to school. So at that time, as per my cognition, I don't feel that Shiva ever studied. So how can I feel the space of Shivoham?
See, what I understand is Shiva, though, see, I don't, like, see, Shiva, though, never studies, but then his whatever action he does always enriches others. So, by you studying, see, the context for me to study is so that I can, like, we can show the other kids also, like, we can also study and we also learn all these spiritual sciences here in Gurukul. So we all can enrich all the other kids outside to come here. So when your context is out of enriching, even you study out of the context of enriching, and that will also align you back to your inner image of Shivoham.
Okay, now I have a question. For if I want to go to the temple, but my teacher told that you have to correct these papers and you can't go. So in this situation, how can I align all my 4 images and convince my teacher to let me go to the temple?
What I feel is from the space of Shivoham, when you declare that, when you create a space and you make that space in reality that you want to go to temple, and if you feel that going to temple is like at that time is important, so with that space, with the space of Shivoham, if you go tell the teacher obviously accept.
And also what I feel is that it's also the teacher's trust on you. So I feel taking the responsibility for you to study even at other times and giving the teacher the confidence will do the job. I have a question. Is life image, does that mean like expecting, means your expectation about life?
What I think as life image is what others feel that you are. That's what I think as life image.
Then what is others' image? Can you explain me?
What I feel as others' image is what others expect from you, and what I feel as life image is what you expect from others.
Then I have a question. If your inner image is when your inner image is friendliness, but others expect, like, if others expect powerlessness out of you, then how do you align both? Like for example, like for
Okay, just giving an example. For example, somebody is angry at you. They're really violent and they want to take revenge on you. So at that time they'll want you to be powerless. And you will want to be friendly with them. Then how do you align both?
See, what I understand is the very decision for you to be friendly will complete them. See, if you really want to be friendly, whatever happens, it'll not affect you, and the very action, the very decision of yours will complete them.
As Swamiji told in satsang, one person, he told, first time he's coming to sing Swamiji, he was thinking, I will not fall in his feet and all. Like, he was thinking, and he was coming. When he came to Swamiji, when he saw Swamiji, he forgot what he thought, and straight away he went and fall in Swamiji's feet. It's like that. If your inner image is very strong enough, like Shivoham, it will change the surrounding of you.
Okay, I have a question. Is others' image like life image? Because like others' image is like what you project. So it's projecting something about different from what you feel.
what I feel is life image is what you think about life, and others' image is what life thinks about you.
I have a question in that case. Swamiji in Bhagavad Gita told, don't do anything from any work or anything from an expectation, it will not complete you. But the moment you have an expectation about life, how will it make you reach consciousness? How can it ever be consciousness?
What I understand is, see, when your inner image is like I am consciousness, and even your outer image, you project yourself that you are consciousness. So when you start aligning yourself to that, all your expectations will drop, and you'll see like everyone has consciousness only. So like when you understand that everyone is part of you, I don't think you'll not really have any expectation out of life.
Then do you mean that when your inner image and outer image are aligned, you don't have a life image?
See, what I understand is when you align, see, like for example, my inner image is consciousness. When I align all of them, and when I experience consciousness, I'll not have the four images itself. Like I'll not have any of these images, because like when we experience consciousness, there'll be no image existing, because everyone will realize that everyone is part of us.
Adding to her point, what I feel is I don't think life image is actually expecting from life. I think it's what you see as life, because expectation is violence, and that cannot lead you to the ultimate, is what I feel. So it's what you see as life, not what you expect from life.
What I feel is life, how it is consciousness. So we don't actually need to expect something from life because it's already consciousness. And when our inner and outer image is consciousness, we would expect life to be consciousness. But that is the same as how it is. So it doesn't really matter about what you expect about life.
And also, what I understand as life image is any situation presented to you by life is life image. That's what I understand. Where when you align your inner image towards, suppose a incident is happening, like you're traveling somewhere and suddenly there's a breakdown in your car. Why did that breakdown happen? Using your inner image and aligning that and finding out. So you might just think, okay, I did not bring petrol in my car, so next time let me get and then I'll use it. That might be just a temporary solution. But finding out what was the root, the don't care attitude you had, maybe at some point you thought that I should have put petrol, but then you didn't. You just thought, leave it, what is there in that? So that has brought. So I feel that when you don't question what happens in your life, when you don't find out the root of why, that time you are not in alignment with life image. This is what I feel.
I have a question with what Ajara Maharaj told. See, you told that when your inner image is consciousness and when your outer image is also consciousness, even if you expect consciousness from life, life is already consciousness. But isn't it that expectation is itself violence?
I have a question with what you're saying. Can you explain how is expecting is violence?
What I feel is this. See, when we expect for something, we expect from powerlessness. See, there's a difference between hope and expecting. Hope is from powerful space. This is what I feel. And expecting is from powerless space. Meaning, if it doesn't happen, it'll put you into powerlessness. That's what I feel as expectation. So if it puts you into powerlessness, it's violence, right?
Just want to add a point which what Charanya told. You will expect something from somebody or anything only when you don't have that inside you. If you have that inside you, you'll never expect anything from others.
And also Swamiji told in one satsang that whatever you have in your life is only because life has so much of compassion on you. If you don't have something, that also means that it's because life is compassionate on you. It is not that you do something and you get something from life. Only because of the gratitude you have, only if you have the gratitude for whatever you have, only then life will shower you with more and more things. So I feel if you expect something from life, then it will always be against life, which is violence.
I have a question. So is outer image like life image, or is it something different from that?
What I feel is outer image is what you project to others. So it's different from what you see as others, which is life image.
What I feel is when all these four are not aligned to consciousness, there's a difference. But when everything is aligned to consciousness, it's same.
Okay, so what I understood from what you said was like outer image is what you project. So what you feel as you showing that to others is outer image. Now this is what I understood. So does that mean that when you put consciousness as your life image, like you see life as consciousness, so does that mean that you put yourself in that outer image and inner image directly as consciousness, or only after you contemplating and analyzing that I am consciousness and you aligning to that?
What I feel is this. It starts with your inner image. Only when you start perceiving that you are consciousness, you start seeing everything as consciousness. So according to me, it starts with your inner image.
And also what I feel is that only if you think, contemplate and internalize that you are consciousness, then only your inner image will you'll even get the, like when a situation happens, you'll even get the remembrance that no, I am the consciousness. Then only you can even use it in your inner image, and then it comes out as your outer image. So I feel contemplation, internalizing, everything is required that you are consciousness. Then only you can project it outside.
Can you explain how expecting someone to be complete is violence? Because when you want someone to be complete, it is out of compassion, right? How can it be violence?
What I feel is because you expected them to be in completion, now if they're not in completion, then you fall into powerlessness. Because what you expected is not happening. But same way, if you hope that they be in completion, even if it not happen, you will just think in a positive way and encourage them for them to be in a space of completion.
Then I have a question. See, only if you expect something and it doesn't happen, only you'll fall into powerlessness. So I expect someone to give me something and they give me that. So does that mean it is not violence?
What I think is that that expectation itself is violence. It doesn't matter if they give it to you or not, but having that expectation itself is violence.
What I feel is when you expect something from somebody without taking the responsibility of enriching them back, then it is violence.
See, I still didn't understand. See, for example, I expect someone to be complete. Okay, so and they become complete. Does that mean that my expectation was like out of violence? Because when I expect them and they fulfilled my expectation, that made me also complete, and now they are also complete. So how is it out of violence?
What I feel is it's the space from which you are expecting them to be in completion. If you are expecting them to be in completion from the space that you are in completion and you want them also to be in completion, then they will be in completion. But if you are expecting them just to be nice to you and you do whatever you want with them, then it is violence.
What I feel is it doesn't depend on what your expectation is. Expectation itself is violence.
Because the moment you expect something from somebody, like you are taking care of somebody and then you expect they should be in the space of completion always with you, the moment you expect, and when they are not in the space of completion, you either get angry on them or you get depressed on them. But instead, if you take the responsibility to make sure they're complete all the time, instead of just expecting something from them, then it will really complete them. So expectation itself is violence, is what I feel. When you expect something, your inner image and outer image cannot be aligned.
So basically, when you are complete and you want somebody else to also be complete, that time taking responsibility for them instead of expecting from them.
So I have a question. What's the difference between expectation and anyakara?
What I feel is expectation is what you expect from others, but Anyakais is what others want you to do.
Then you mean the other person is in the space of violence?
What I feel is
What I feel is Anyakara is basically like you wanting them to be in completion and you taking responsibility for them to be in completion instead of expecting from them. That's what I feel as Anyakara.
Just adding to what Ajara Maharaj told, what I understood is like see, Anyakara is like hoping and others is like expecting, is what I understand.
Want to add a point in this, like not always, expectation is not always wrong. Like expectation and want is different. If you want something does not mean you are expecting something. The difference which I feel between expectation and hope is that expectation is just, you just throw the responsibility on somebody. You're just telling you are responsible, you have to make sure I'm complete. But when it comes to hope, it's like you taking the responsibility, not just throwing the full blame on them and full responsibility on them, but you making sure that they are also in space of completion. You being a part of them to be in the space of completion is what I feel is the difference between expectation and hope.
I have a question with what Ajara Maharaj said. You said that Anyakara is you want them to be like that, but not expecting out of them. I didn't understand it completely, because even in wanting you want them to be like that, even in expecting you want them to be like that. Both are on the same, right?
what I feel the want which he meant is hope, not expectation. Hope you take the responsibility also to fulfill your expectation, but in expectation you just dump the responsibility on them. You never like support them in what you want them to do.
Okay, so if you have expectation, does that mean that your inner image will change into something violent?
What I understand is the only when you have an inner image which is violent, you'll even start expecting which is out of violence. So when you expect something, if you look in and complete with your inner image, you'll start, like what I understand is you'll hope and you'll take responsibility for that.
With this, we come to the conclusion of today's Vaakyaartha Sadhas. We'll continue expanding in the deeper truths of what Swamiji is speaking in the Upanishads. Now, we shall finish with the Purna Mantra.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत् सर्वं सद्गुरुपादुकार्पणमस्तु ॐ नित्यानन्दम्